All right, welcome, everybody. Welcome tonight. Welcome to Lions Gateway Podcast. We have something super special for you all tonight. My name is Billy Joe Wade. I will be your host along with our good friend over here, Ronnie Tats. And our special guest today is Philip Garcia. He goes by PR, and his name for me is Preach Righteousness. And that is exactly what is going to happen tonight. He's going to give us his testimony, and it's going to be quite powerful. So let's tune in and see what's happening tonight.
Amen. Welcome, everybody.
Yes. So to start off, tell us about yourself, your upbringing.
Okay.
Yeah.
Before I go there, but I can also tell you guys why they call me PR.
There we go.
Okay.
There we go.
Okay. So when I was before I was born, my grandmother gave us nicknames. Well, this is what my mom told me, and my cousin Taters, they actually called him. Oh, it's Keith, right?
Yeah.
So his real name's Keith, but she started calling him Taters.
And it stuck.
And it stuck with him ever since. To this day, we still call him Taters. And then for me, PR is just my first and middle name. So I kind of wondered why she did that, but I guess it made it easier just to give a little nickname for us and stuff, you know. But yeah, so when I was born in San Gabriel. I kind of grew up in my younger days in East LA and El Sereno, Hillside Village. I don't know if you guys are familiar with that area, but that's where I grew up. And you know, I had my grandmother that lived down the block from me. Her name was Connie Garcia, and then we lived up kind of like a block away up in the little hill right there. If you guys are familiar with the area, it's Wilson High School. So I lived in the bottom of Wilson High School. And, you know, all I did was like ride my skateboard. You know, I grew up like in a good home, you know, like my family was always, you know, they were good people and stuff. And, you know, but down there it was East LA, you know what I mean? I remember I went to Mount Lomas Elementary. And they used to, instead of having earthquake drills, they had drive-by drills.
For real?
No, for real.
Oh my God. That's crazy.
No, for real, yeah. And there were shootings up and down the, right there off of Soto. I don't know if you guys are familiar with there, but it was Soto, and I went to Mount Lomas, and there would be like an alarm that went off, and we all had to get under our desk. And it wasn't for an earthquake; it was for drive-bys.
That's bananas.
I didn't know that.
Yeah, they had a lot of gangs around there.
Yeah, I knew that.
But yeah, I mean, like my grandparents were good people. I mean, if you wanted to meet the nicest people in the world, was my grandparents. I never in this life met anybody nicer. My grandfather he fought in World War II. He was a paratrooper. I think it was 13th Airborne. So he was like a war hero and stuff. So I always looked up to my grandfather. You know, he always gave us stories, and I remember he would always sing his military songs. I don't know if you guys ever heard those songs. No, but so my grandfather, he would always sing. Like he was always singing and sing like, I don't know if you guys know any military song, but he also would park cars for the church. It was Alvera Street Methodist Church. They would always take me there on Sundays and stuff. I remember going to like the Methodist Kids Academy kind of thing.
And how old were you when
I was probably about 5 or 6, somewhere around there. Yeah, I was really young. Before that, I don't really remember. So
Sure.
I was probably going before that.
You might have been.
Yeah. But I just, you know, like those memories from growing up in East LA, like I remember my grandparents the most. It's probably because my parents would leave me with my grandparents to watch me all the time.
Right.
Good experiences.
Yeah. Well, my grandmother, all she did was she would pray all the time, and I always wondered like, what is she doing? You know, getting on her knees praying. And I'll catch her like in her bedroom, alongside of her bed and stuff. There's like glimpses of memory and stuff about that. But my grandma Connie, she would always read the Bible to me. And it still resonated on me to this day that she would tell me, you're going to be a preacher one day. And I said, what?
Hello.
Yeah, she used to tell me that. And she's like, you need to remember these verses. You know, you have to remember the verse. And I was just a kid. I used to run from her and scream and cry. You know what I mean? I wanted to go outside and play with my friends and stuff.
Yeah.
But
you had to preach.
Yeah. Well, like now God has me preaching, but it's weird how she knew though. You know what I mean? But also, well, my friends would. There was one friend that I remember growing up down there. He was all well. So what? I would always walk to school. Me and my sister when we were young. Dude, like back then, it was like you could do that back then. And even though the neighborhood this neighborhood in El Sereno was the nicer area. So when I would walk to Mount Loma, my dad would tell me like, don't go on the other side of the tracks because on the other side of the tracks was hazard projects.
Oh wow!
And a lot of the kids that went to my school actually lived in the hazard projects, and they'll be like, oh, come on, come to my house. And I was like, no, I listened to my dad, you know.
Sure.
And I knew one time I did go on the other side of the tracks, and I seen like there wasn't homeless people back then, but you know. It was you could just feel the bad. It was just bad on that side, and then the kids were bad. You know, they were always trying to jump me or fight me, and then I was always getting in fights in elementary. I remember getting in fights in there in the restroom, and that was like the thing to do back then, just fight in the restroom.
Wow.
Yeah, it was crazy.
Rough life, yeah.
Yeah, it was rough. I mean, I remember this kid used to pull the back of my hair. And I used to get mad, dude.
Like, bullying you?
Bullying, but they were a little group, and they were from Hazard.
Oh wow!
Yeah,
like 8 years old already.
Yeah, dude. Like their parents were probably gang members and stuff like that. But yeah. So there was this one kid that I remember though, growing up down there, and I think his name was Rusty. I'm not really familiar with the name though, because it was a long time ago. But he ended up getting shot by a stray bullet.
Oh wow!
Yeah, it was on the other side of Wilson, where they had the pool. I forget what the park is called. It wasn't because we had Lincoln Park on our side. That park was kind of safe to ride your skateboard to, but not really because there was a lot of different people that came in there. But on the other side of Hillside was another park, and that's where a stray bullet went across the whole park and hit this kid.
Killed him?
Killed him. Yeah.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
How old was he?
He was probably the same age as me. We went to the same school and everything.
About 8-ish? 8?
About 8, yeah.
Wow.
But maybe like 10.
Okay.
Because I remember, because I was already getting older around that time. And I think I was like in 4th grade, about to leave elementary, somewhere around there.
Yeah, that's about the right age, I think, at 4th.
Yeah. And then, so like he was killed, and I remember the whole neighborhood heard about it. My dad was like, okay, now it's time to move out of here.
Yeah.
And I was sad, you know. I was kind of sad because I didn't want to move
all
from
your friends.
all my friends in the neighborhood around there and stuff.
Yeah.
But those were like good times. I remember just, you know, growing up down there, and it was I didn't really see like drugs or anything like that. You know what I mean? I would see my uncle though. He would always drink. He had a friend named John Greenlee. And he was always in front of the liquor store drinking beer. And my uncle was the same way. So when I would go to my grandma's house, he always had a trash can full of beer. You know, like King Cobra. I don't know if you ever. Yeah. No, it was all King Cobra, like malt liquor and stuff. So I remember seeing that, but he ended up passing away. I think like in his early 40s.
Oh wow!
Yeah.
Alcohol related, or
Yeah, it was alcohol. Yeah.
I
Yeah. But he was, I know he was messing with Sherm and mixing pills with alcohol and stuff like that. But I looked up to my uncle though too, because he played the piano. Man, if you heard my dad play the piano, my uncle was better.
We hear your dad play all the time.
And my dad's good, dude.
Yes,
Yeah, and I just remember him just playing the piano like with his eyes closed and stuff. But he was always drunk, you know.
Yeah.
And he wasn't. I mean, he's very. I mean, I have like a little vague of him because he died at a young age, and I was young when he passed away. But my grandfather ended up passing away first, though, and he died from cancer. Yeah, and he was like already in his late 90s, middle 90s, somewhere in there. But my grandmother, my dad had to pull her out of East LA because she started getting dementia and stuff. And long story short, we moved up to the high desert from there. After my friend was killed, my dad was like, it's time to move, you know? And so we moved up to the high desert. Well, before all that though, I played football in Rolling Heights. Okay. I don't know if you ever heard of Rolling Heights.
Yep.
Yeah, it was called the Rolling Heights Raiders.
Yep.
You remember those days?
Yeah. Oh yeah.
Yeah, 'cause-
I don't remember the
I
Rolling
was too
Heights
young. I
Raiders.
remember being too young to play, and my brother was playing.
Yeah, we used to go visit you guys at San Gabriel, right?
Yeah,
You guys
yeah.
lived in San Gabriel.
Are you guys related?
Oh yeah, that's
Oh,
right.
yeah.
So this is
Sorry, we forgot to mention that.
this is my first cousin, Ronnie. But yeah, so just growing up down there was awesome because when I was in the Rolling Heights Raiders, we're undefeated 5 years in a row, and no, it's 4 years in a row, and not one team scored on us, and we're starting to get in the newspaper. Scouts were starting to check us out. Like they were even trying to give offerings, so when you get out of high school, they give you a full ride, like a full scholarship and everything. And we're only in Pop Warner.
Yeah, that's crazy.
Yeah. And so like we used to win like 56-0. Not one team scored on us for 3
That's
years,
crazy.
3 years in a row. The last year was like rocky, but it was good times because like that's when the parents used to come. The stands were just filled with people.
Yes.
You know what I mean? And I remember my parents and them partying there, all the parents, you know, drinking, partying and stuff.
Like at the football games, they were partying. Or
Well, like
or you just talking about afterwards.
yeah, they'll do an after party at houses, and then we will go out in like TP houses and stuff.
Yeah.
And I was only like 11 years old or somewhere around there. At the end, because it was from like 95. Wait, was it 92 to like 95, 96, somewhere around there when I stopped playing. But those were really good times. And then my dad, that's when my friend died, and my dad was like, it's time to move out of here, you know. So my dad ended up getting like into this program to build a house up in the high desert, but they built it from scratch. And it was, I think it was a program going through like Century 21. I don't know if you know any.
It doesn't sound familiar, but
Yeah. So we moved up to the high desert, and you know, I was only 12 years old when I moved up when we moved up to the desert, and we lived in Phelan. If you guys don't know where that's at, it's right here. It's Hesperia, Victorville, and then Phelan. There was nothing. This whole high desert had nothing out here, bro.
All dirt roads out there. Yeah.
It was all dirt roads. Like to this day,
5 houses.
yeah, 5 houses exactly. dude.
Oh no, wait, 5 trailers.
Oh, wow.
And I knew the dirt roads like the back of my hand, like literally back. I knew all the dirt roads just by growing up out here. And I'm already going to be 45 next week, and I've been out here since I was 12 years old. So you could say, you know, I grew up out here, right? So growing up from having that life down in at East LA, and then moving up to the high desert, there was nothing to do. Like literally, there was only like a mall out here, maybe a couple other stores that are still up.
And you said 96.
Yeah, somewhere around.
Wasn't
Yeah.
that the year the mall was built? Like in the 90s, I thought.
It probably was just built when when I moved up here. But so I had an aunt Chella that lived in Phelan, so that's why my parents moved up here. But we used to visit my aunt Chella from East LA, and I remember being on their trampoline, and my dad was like, because my mom and dad were still thinking about moving up here, then so they asked me, my sister Siobhan, like, hey, we want to move up here. What do you think? So I remember being on that trampoline, looking at the stars, and I was seeing the shooting stars, and I'd never seen that in East LA because there's nothing but lights down there. Yeah, and up here there's nothing. And I seen the shooting stars, and I said, let's move up here. Like I felt like a God moment kind of, but I didn't really know too much about God, you know.
Sure.
It just felt right.
It felt right, yeah. And then my sister wanted to move up, and we're like, I didn't really think about it why, but until we moved up here, I'm like, dude, why are we out here?
Yeah, there's nothing to do.
Nothing to do, man. So I went to it's an elementary in Phelan. No, not elementary, the junior high. I think it was called Pinnon Hills or Pinnon Junior High or something like that.
Yeah.
And then Serrano High School.
Mhm.
But I went to the junior high out in Phelan at 12 years old, around there. And then I met so up here there was, and that side it was Wrightwood. So all the kids that went there were rich. You know what I mean? They had Oakleys on. They always had snowboarding gear and stuff because it snowed in Phelan. Like
Mountain folk.
yeah, exactly. Yeah, and I was like an oddball. You know, they're like, "Who's this guy?" You know, but the guy came from East LA, and there was only like 2 other kids that came from LA. And then there was another guy that kind of grew up in Phelan too. It's one of my good friends now. No, we still talk. Actually, he just called me Luago, but his name's Jesus. But we kind of like connected, you know, going to junior high and stuff. And so my parents were still like kind of partying. They weren't going to church or anything like that. They would invite their friends from LA up here. And I remember one of my dad's friends was going to the liquor store, so I wanted to go with them because it was hard to go to the liquor store because it was like a couple miles away, you know. And he busted out some white powder, you know, in his van. And I was only like 12 years old. No, I was like, at that time I was like 13, I'm about to be 14 something. So he busted it out, and I was like, what is that? He's like, have you ever done it before? I was like, nah. And then he was like, oh, you want to try it? I was like, all right. So I snorted this line like this big.
Oh wow.
Was cocaine?
No, it was speed.
It was speed.
Speed.
Okay, yeah. I was on my way out of that game at that point. So yeah.
Yeah. I never, so I lied to him, but I'd never done it before. So I was so spun out, man, from that line, I remember. And going back to my parents, I was trying to hide it, you know. And then my girl cousin, Celeste, she was up there at the house. She was from LA too, but she was just like, are you okay? She knew I was on something. And I was just trying to hide it. And I remember coming down so bad the next day. I was sick, like sicker than a dog, you know. And I never experienced anything like that. But that day I got hooked on methamphetamines. And what a trip is, like when I started going to school, I met my friend Jesus. I'm not gonna say any more names, but
Right.
I ended up going to his house, and his brother ended up being a cook of making meth. And not even him, but there was a couple other people that he knew that were cooks. So I was getting getting 8 balls really, really cheap, you know, super cheap. It was back then, I think it was called like peanut butter or something like that. It wasn't crystal. And so I started selling at the school, you know, I was selling to all the.
Is this middle school we're talking? Junior high?
Yeah, this was junior high.
Still junior high.
So I started selling to everybody, and I'm like getting chips, and I was making money, and I was just like, you know, I was hooked myself. Every morning, me and my other friend, would do a line in the restroom. Yeah, and I had to go to class. I was just so spun out. I remember being spun out in class, and I was like really, really young, but still, I was still bored. You know what I mean? And but now I was hooked on drugs at that age. And I remember my parents was telling me like, hey, we have two family members. Oh no, we have a family member that lives out here. I want you to meet her sons. No, and it was my cousins. They were my cousin. I think they're like my third cousins or second cousins. But I met them, and I started hanging out with them and stuff. And so I would always like try to spend the night at their house every week, because there was nothing to do out here, you know.
And was there partying going on?
Yeah, so my parents were partying with them, and then me and my two cousins would go, you know, sneak off and drink a beer or whatever. You know, I'll go over his house, and all we did was my older cousin he would just bust out a joint and would just smoking weed, you know, and then we started doing speed, you know, just like snorting lines here and there. But it wasn't like every single day. It was whenever we got our hands on it.
Right.
But most of it was weed. Like weed was the main thing to get. And so we were smoking weed, taking gravity bong hits and smoking weed, watching Beavis and Butthead. I think they just started coming out with that again. But yeah, so it was an addiction, you know. It was so boring out here. That was the thing to do. Everybody was doing drugs, you know, at a young age. And I remember my cousin, who was just like, you know, hey, I'm going to go out with a couple of guys out here. You know, I want you to meet them, but at that time, me and my younger cousin were you know, his mom was getting us babysitters and stuff. So my other older cousin's like, just wait, let me get in good with these guys, and then you could come and hang out. So I was like, all right, cool. You know, me and my cousin was just like, all right. So he ended up getting into this party crew, and then he told, he's like, you know, I'm in this party crew now, and this and that. I'm hanging out with these dudes. And then my cousin ended up, it was his birthday, and he ended up getting like a DJ system from his mom. So he started DJing and all that stuff. So, you know, so we couldn't go out yet, but he was DJing at the house, you know, spinning records. And every chance we got, we'll go down to Hollywood or for him to buy records and stuff like that. And he even let me kind of like mess around with it, you know. And then my cousin was like, hey, why don't you guys come out with us one day? So I started going out with them. I was only like 14 years old. My cousin was like 13 years old.
With this party crew?
Yeah, with the party crew. Yeah, and these guys were older. You know, they're like 21, 25, in between there. And my cousin, my older cousin, was like 2 years older than me, and then my younger cousin, his brother, is a year younger than me. So we started going out with these guys, and we had fun. You know, like after that, it was like every weekend we're going out with these guys.
Yes.
And they thought we were older. You know, we presented ourselves like older. You know, and then my younger cousin, he started getting on the flyers. He was DJing at parties and stuff. It was like Satan like kind of had us. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And like back then they didn't have no helicopter. They didn't have anything out here. Maybe a small police force. So like the parties weren't getting busted or nothing. We were partying all night and stuff. So like we were hanging out with these guys. So we had to like prove ourselves to them, you know. And they thought we were older and stuff. But we told them our age and stuff. But they wanted to recruit us, but we just didn't. It wasn't like right away, you know. So like at the time we just had we're just partying with them, and then one day they told me, "Hey, you want to get in?" And I was like, "Yeah, I wanted to get in." Like we're looking up to these guys, you know, like yeah, I want to get in and stuff. My cousin was already in it, and then my cousin was like, "Yeah, we'll vouch for them, whatever." So one of them was like, "Hey, if you want to get in, I need you to do a beer run." Because that was the thing to do back then. So I was like, oh, okay, let's do a beer run. So we end up doing beer runs. I hit like an 8 p.m. 7-Eleven. I did like 4 beer runs in one sitting.
Do me a favor and explain like a beer run for you.
So going inside the store, grabbing the beer and running out.
That's literally a beer
run. But back then it was just theft. So like if you got busted, they weren't gonna do nothing to you. So we proved ourselves and we started doing beer runs. And then I threw this big, huge party at my mom's house when they were out of town. If they're watching, like they don't know.
They do now.
They do now, right?
I did. I felt.
So we threw this party at my house, and so like a bunch of people came. And then what happened? So like the guy was like, yeah, you know, I want to get you guys in and this and that. I was like, all right, cool. So they had to be voted in back then. So we end up, so they're like, okay, the next party will get you in. So I asked my parents if I could have a party, you know, at the house, and they said, yeah. So, you know, we were just kids, you know, they're thinking it's just like some kid party. So when they came, it was like
full-on party.
Yeah, it was a full-on party, like 300 people came. My parents were tripping, and my Uncle Steve was there. It's his dad. And my Uncle Steve's big, dude. He's like he's healthy. And he was just like, his arms were huge, right? So he's standing by the gate, searching people and stuff. And the guys came, and they're like, "Oh, we're gonna get you in now. We're gonna vote right now." And then my Uncle Steve got in his face. He's like, "Oh, you trying to get my nephew into a gang?" And he was scared, dude. And he's like, "Guys, come on!" Like called the guys to like come over there. And my uncle's like, "Man, no, I'll tear all you guys up. I'm gonna keep it clean. I'll tear all you guys up, you know." And then he's like, "No, it's not a gang. It's a party crew or whatever."
Okay.
So
same thing-ish, but just no weapons, but maybe
just a lot of drinking, partying. Right. So I ended up getting in, and then so long story short, we're just partying all the time, and then I started getting in trouble with the law. I started to like, you know, I was driving, but it's weird because I bought a car and I didn't have no license. But I was always working. My dad, that's one thing my dad taught me was to work. And he showed me how to do fire alarms. Yes. And to this day, I do fire sprinklers because of him, you know, like he got me into the industry. But I always made sure I went to work. So I'll be up all night and then go to work the next day. But that saved my life though, in a lot of situations.
So you're a functioning
addict. Yeah. At that time, I was already like in my 20s and stuff. And so I got into stealing cars. I was stealing a lot of cars with me and my friends. Yeah, we started stealing cars and we're slanging drugs. And, you know, I'm in this party crew and then we're just recruiting everybody that we knew. Like everybody I went to school with, I recruited them. And then a lot of people I went to school with became like, leaders of gangs and stuff. And so I knew like the main guys, just by going to school with them. And then, but there was one guy I ended up getting into the party crew, and he's saved to this right now. But I, always made sure whatever we did, we're doing, I don't even want to talk about the criminal activity, but after the next morning he had to go to school. I always made sure he went to school. I was like, bro, you got to go to school. And he's like, man, I've been up all night. And so like, you got to go to school, bro. Go to school. And to this day, he graduated. and he would never forget it. Like, I'm part of his testimony. Yeah. But I'll say his name. His name's Anthony. But it resonated on him. But I always had love for my homeboys and stuff, and I made sure they went to school and stuff. I always, even though I was working for Satan and recruiting all these guys, it was like the thing to do back then, because when we got together, it was like a brotherhood, like a family and stuff. And even the parents would party with us. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And like, but I started stealing cars, and I was about to get, married. And I remember, this girl, this is my ex-wife now, but, I was seeing her for a while, with the party crew scene. And then I ended up getting married to her because she told me that she was pregnant. And that's when my daughter, Raquel. And she said, I'm pregnant. And I was like, oh, so I wanted to do the right thing, get married and stuff. So I got married, and 2 weeks later, I'm cheating on her after we got married and stuff. And so I kind of left her, and I was cheating on her with this other girl. But this girl was like, just got out of prison doing 5 years. And she was a bad influence, but so I started stealing cars and stuff, and I get busted in it.
You got busted stealing cars.
Yeah, well, the car that she stole. But nobody knows that to this day right now. But I get busted in it. I didn't say nothing about it. I end up getting busted in it, and so I went to jail for the first time, and I remember going in there, and it was like sad. I was just sad being in there, stuff like that.
How old were you at this time?
I was probably about 24.
Okay.
Yeah. So I was in there, and I was just like, I didn't know what was going to happen to me, stuff like that. So they threw a county lid at me. So I was like, okay, where do I sign? The county lid is a year, and you do like 8 months or something. So I signed for a county lid, and then she ends up bailing me out. And so she bailed me out after I signed, but I was supposed to turn myself back in to do the time or whatever. I didn't turn myself back in.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, so I ended up staying so I was basically on the run after that, after the deadline came to turn myself back in. And then I was staying at my cousin Tater's house. And he's like, bro, you can't come back here. He's like, they just hit my house. They're looking for you. I have no idea how they knew I was there. So yeah,
everything at some point in time.
Yeah,
they do their investigations.
They found, or they knew I was there for some reason. I think they hit up some to this day I still don't know. It's not in paperwork or nothing like that. But I end up going to and I ended up staying in La Habra with this girl, and then she was going out stealing cars with her home girl, and she was bringing the cars to where we were staying. And I was like, all right, let's go let's go in the car, let's go basically go do some crime and go steal whatever. And she's like, all right. So I'm doing clothes runs and doing all kinds of stuff, just stealing in the stores and running out. But I end up leaving in a stolen car, but on my way out I took the tip jar. And it was like a little cube like that, right? I take the tip jar, and she's like, what, you just came out with a tip jar? What happened? I was like, some lady walked in, let's go, And she gets mad, she throws the tip jar out the window. The car behind me runs the tip jar over, the little cube like that. And then I could hear the car going, so she ended up, whatever with the tip jar. So besides all that, like the first signal that we hit, I hear sirens. So I end up going to these apartments. We park the car we left it there, and I ended up going inside the apartments where the laundry room's at, and I hid the gun behind the dryer, and we just stood in there for like maybe 6 hours, just doing. And then so we're just waiting for 6 hours. So we go back to the car. I was like, come on, let's just go back to the car. You know, I don't hear no sign. I don't hear nothing. We've been here forever. And she's like, all right, come on. So I went back in the car. And then when I go back into the car, you know, everything was cool. There's no one around. So I go up 2 blocks. And then all of a sudden, all these undercovers hit us. And I pull into a church, dude. So I'm in this church. And they literally like broke the window, pulled me out, dude. Took me to jail. And I remember I was just like strung out, man. Just strung out. And then being in that jail cell, and I didn't know what they're gonna do to me. I was just like, just empty inside, you know, just tore up. So I was just like, man, praise God. I wasn't saying praise God then, but I'm saying it now.
Yes.
You know what I mean? But when I was there, they're like, okay, well, I'll take 3 years. I was like, 3 years. I was like, all right, what do I sign, you know? So I ended up signing 3 years, and then I remember going into it was called Theo Lacey back then, and I remember being on the phone crying to my mom and stuff, you know. And I was like, I just got 3 years or whatever, and they're like, what? But I wasn't doing the whole time, you know. It was like half time back then, or 65% back then. So long story short, I was in there and crying to my parents. The homies were like, nah, don't be crying, or we're gonna take care of that. And I was like, all right. So I sucked it up, you know.
Yeah.
But I'd never been locked up before, you know. And the homies, there's different carts in there. Like, it's either you're joining the blacks, the whites, or the Mexicans, or the others. So I ended up, you know, joining my race and stuff. And then, you know, from there, it was just like just putting in work for them. You know, you're just a torpedo. You putting in work. Putting people on the wall, like basically they use you, you know what I mean?
Yep.
And yeah, it was crazy, you know. And when I hit from there, I went to reception. So when you're in reception, you're in prison, but it's like a waiting point to go into main prison. So it's called mainline. So I'm in reception, and you have to wait until you catch a bag to go to mainline. So it's a bag that has a prison name on it that you're going to.
Okay.
And it could be anywhere around Southern California or Northern California. So I was just waiting there to catch a bag, and it takes a long time, like 6 months when it's your first time. When you're not your first time, they'll give you a bag right away, and then you could go upstate. So I'm just there, and man, I seen the most craziest things, like just people fighting all the time. Well, they weren't fighting all the time, but it was like people getting checked. So when you heard like upstairs, you heard people's shoes going like this, squeaking and stuff, don't look. If you get caught looking up there, the homies will be like, oh, you're dry snitching. You're next.
Sure.
Yeah. So they're treating it like a level 4 prison. So I was like, all right. So every night there's somebody getting beat up there, and you can hear them screaming, dude. You hear them crying for their lives every single night. Cause it was like a 200-man dorm. So there was 200. Yeah. It was in Wasco State Prison.
No, that was after you got like assigned your bag, I guess you might say.
Yeah, I haven't got the bag yet.
Oh, you haven't? Okay.
No, not yet. So I'm just waiting in reception. It's like you're just waiting to get this bag. There's already 3-4 months went by. I'm still in this dorm, right? And I remember this guy, man. He came in, and the whites, man, they beat him down so bad. They murdered the guy.
Ooh.
Yeah.
Wow.
They beat him down so bad. I remember just them dragging them down the steps, just busting his head on every single step. And they end up dragging him to the guy. Literally, after they did that, he got up and he's like screaming for his life by my bunk. And I'm just like trying not to look, like just looking this way, you know. I don't see nothing, you know. And they're just stomping him out, and they drag him to the front of the door, and they just leave him there. And I was just like, dude.
So, question: what would make somebody do that to a man? You know what I mean? What did that guy do?
Yeah, how do you earn that?
Right.
So, that kind of punishment.
That's a pretty bad punishment.
So he probably had bad paperwork, or maybe he did something on the streets.
Yeah.
Because they were waiting for him.
Okay.
Yeah, as soon as he came out, he came in like an hour later. He's getting stomped out by,
Okay.
but it was by the whole cart. So there's so many
Sure.
of them, maybe like 20 or 30 guys beating this guy down. And I remember they came in and are checking all our fingers, our knuckles, make sure they're not bleeding, stuff like that. And they took out all the Mexicans out of there. Took us all out, and they put us in these cages out in the yard. And you're just in a little box like this. And we're in this, I'm just in a cage, just like all day, maybe like 10 hours in this cage. And you can't sit down, you're just standing up in it. It's like,
That's small.
yeah, dude. It's
You
like
can't
a
even,
box.
like bend.
You can't go like this. That's how small it was.
wow.
Yeah.
Wow.
So I remember being in this cage, and then everybody just, all these newcomers coming in, and I look like a caged animal in there. And
that was with the white car, or that was with them.
yeah, so they kept all of them in there probably to question them. I don't know what they did with them, but they wanted all the Mexicans out of there. I don't know why, but so they put us in 2-man cells. So I'd never been in a 2-man cell. I've never even been in prison. This is crazy.
Right. There's all new.
This is all new, man.
Yeah.
So I'm in a 2-man cell, and I'm in there, and it was 23-hour lockdown, just 1 hour to come out for day room and take a shower. That's it. So I'm in there, and then our window was like this big.
And it was at least to outdoors, though. Yeah.
No,
It wasn't.
no.
No.
Oh, just to see out into the
Just to
unit.
see out to the day room.
Gotcha.
Oh my god.
Yes, so like,
Yeah.
and I was in a corner cell, so like I couldn't see the TV, I couldn't hear it. So I was just like sitting, looking out the little window, and all I see is the side of the TV.
I could imagine. That's all everybody saw. The other
Yeah.
end was just spaces, just like.
Well, the people across were able to see it, but not us.
Yeah.
And the guy that was in my cell, man, he was hardcore. He was just like, he's like, these are the rules, you know. He's a little stocky, big dude, you know, the gang member, you know, he's been in and out of prison all his life.
Wow.
He's all, this is the rules of my cell. He's like, just make sure there's no water drops on my sink, and make sure you clean up after yourself. And I was like, water drops, what is that? You know, so when you brush your teeth in the sink, he didn't want no watermarks. So he wanted me to wipe it down every single time.
Yeah.
Wow.
But he had this sink and toilet so clean, it was like you could eat off of it.
It's your roomie.
Yeah, my roomie. And my cell was so small, dude. Like you put your arm right here and you could touch the other wall like that. Just like that movie, Blood In, Blood Out.
Yes, I know.
Yeah, and it was one up, one down. So like if he was standing up, I had to go up on my bunk. If I was off my bunk, he had to go on his bunk. That's how small it was.
Wow, man.
It was crazy. Yeah.
Now, how long were you in that situation?
So I was in that cell maybe for like 2 months.
Okay.
Just man, and then there was no, the cell wasn't painted or nothing. It's just like, it was like the paint was off the walls, and then everything, all the metal's just all chipped. It just looked like hell, man.
Yeah.
Mhm.
You know what I mean?
Down.
Ran down and everything, and we had to work out every single morning and sound off. You know, you got to sound off in the morning, and like, you know, basically say, all right, we're gonna start our workout, and we're doing a workout with the whole unit on the first tier, and then the bottom tier would do theirs after. So we did every morning we did our workout, and then we had to clean our cell. So you put a towel on the ground and kind of like sweep it with the towel, kind of thing, and then wash our clothes in the toilet. It was crazy. But besides all that, I ended up going upstate. So I ended up getting a wheelie. It's like a little piece of paper like that, and it's from the homies, right? So I get it slid under my door with my bag, because the inmates kind of control everything. So I get my bag, and it's like, oh man, okay, I'm going to Avenal. I finally got my bag, and he goes, man, you're going to Avenal, man. It's called Talidol Avenal. I was like, what? And he goes, man, that's a northern prison. You're not supposed to go there and stuff like that. And I was like, what?
Is it far north, Avenel?
Yeah, it's far, way far. So I was like, all right. So he's like, okay, so that the wheeler said to take flight on your bunkie as soon as you get there. But it's certain language how they do it. I don't want to say it too much.
Right.
But to understand it, but my bunkie told me what it meant. I was like, oh man, is he lying to me or what?
Take flight. That's
Like,
what it
that means
says.
fight, like
Right.
fight your bunkie as soon as
Sure.
you get there. I was like, man, I've never even been in prison, man. What are you talking about? I'm just trying to go do my time.
Right.
Sounds horrible. Though.
Yeah, dude. So I catch so they call it catching the chain. So I caught the chain, and I go upstate, and I tell the other homies that are on the bus, like, hey, did you get the same wheeler? They're like, yeah, we got it. We got the same thing. I was like, dang, dude. I was like, all right. Well, I didn't say dude back then. It was more gangsterish.
Essay.
SA.
Yeah.
So I ended up going upstate, and then I as soon as we put our stuff down, it was two other homeboys with me. We put our stuff down. And I just started. First, the bunkie was like, "Hey, you know, how's it going? You know, it's being cool, you know." And I was like, "I'm good." I was like, "How long you been down?" He's like 18. Oh, 18 months is not bad. That's good. You'll be out soon. Because now 18 years. I was like, whoa. I don't know if I disrespected him or what, but after he said that, I hit him as hard as I can. I hit him as hard as I can, dude. And then, because it's called the gym. They had 3 bunks.
Were you all the people that you met up with in when you caught the chain? Did you guys meet up in the same dorm, or were you by yourself at that point?
No, it's 3 different dudes, and the other guys went somewhere else. But they got the same Mila too.
Yeah.
So everybody did. Everybody was going to have
wherever they went, they had to knock.
So, but
you had to fight the bunkie. But I found out why, because it was a northern prison, and the south side of the northerners were politicking with each other. You're not supposed to. And if you would have stood on that yard and you get transferred to Chino prison, they're going to stab you. Then, you know, they're going to get you. So I was just like, man, you know, it was crazy. So I end up hitting my bung in, but I get jumped by the whole dorm. Me and these other 2 guys, we're getting beat down, you know. And the guards didn't even care. They was just like, whatever.
They're just going to let you go at it.
Yeah, they didn't even care. So after that, I was beat up, you know, and I remember the guard come in and he drags us out, and I guess they found somebody in the shower, and he was, I don't want to say too much, but we're like, whoa, what happened here? You know, that basically using you like pawns.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So I ended up going to the hole for like 6 months, dude. And I was in there and I was like, why, Lord? Or I didn't say Lord, but why me? Why am I in here? Just for stealing cars, you know? This is crazy, right? And I remember the door, the first time in the hole, the door popped open, and they're like, "Oh, it's shower time," you know. And I was just about to jump out to take a shower, and the homie next door hits the wall, and he's like, "Get back in, get back in." So I jump back in, and the door closes, and he goes, "Man, if you would have went to that shower, you would have killed." I was like, "Dang," because our enemies were there.
Wow.
And I was like, "Oh, that's crazy."
Thank you, neighbor.
Yeah, exactly, man. So every morning, man, they pop that door. I got a towel wrapped around my hands and just waiting for them to come in, dude. Every single day.
Did you ever get a chance
No,
to
they
shower?
never. No, I
you had to avoid that.
Well, I bird bathed in the sink.
Okay.
Yeah, so I bird bathed in there. But every morning, every day, I was just ready for them to come into my cell.
Yeah, that's bananas.
It was crazy. But that's when I had my encounter with God. All they give you was your boxers and half a mattress and a Bible. So I had my Bible. They're like, "Oh, you want a Bible? It's something to read." I'm like, "Yeah, give it to me." So they slide through the little door. So at 3 a.m, the lights went out, and 3 a.m, the lights turned on, and then the lights went out at 4 p.m. So it was complete darkness at 4. All we had was a little light through the back window, like coming in from outside.
Yeah.
But it was a 2-way mirror, so I couldn't even see. I'm looking at it, I only see myself.
So there was no light in there from 4 o'clock on, or was there some light?
Once the sun went down, there's no light, dude.
Wow.
All you have is a little light outside of my tier, and that was it. But the little window was like this big too.
So you could see a little bit of
A
light.
little bit. So I just stood by that little thing because I'm in complete darkness.
You were in the darkness.
Yep.
Wow.
So the time I woke up at 3 a.m, when the light turned on, I'm like, oh, cool. So when the light turned on, I went to sleep. It was like 4 or 5 in the afternoon. After dinner, I went to sleep. But my timing was all jacked up. But I had my Bible and I read it, man. I read it from the front to the back, and it was, it little that I knew it was transforming my life.
Amen.
They say it's a sword. Well, they don't say. The Bible says it's a sword.
The Bible says it's the only offensive weapon that we have.
The only offensive weapon. But my testimony goes so much, like, might have to come back to do the rest of it. But all I gotta say is, like, I had an encounter with Jesus being in prison, and what was weird, I just got a phone call yesterday, and it was my stepdaughter, and she's like, I got somebody that's talking about Jesus, and can I switch him over? And I was like, yeah, he's in prison for murder. And he's like telling me, like, man, I just got an encounter with God. I just got out of the hole for 8 months. He's like, I swear the back of my head right here went numb. Like the Holy Spirit, man, just boom. I can feel it right now. But it was like a fire that was in this kid, man. And he's like, man, I've been down for 4 years. I probably got like 15, 20 to go. He's all, I believe I'm going to get out, but man, I'm leaving this gang life. I'm leaving everything. People think I'm crazy in here. It's just like, whoa. I was like, I had an encounter like that too. And it brought me back to when I was locked up in there and how it changed my life. And I know deep down inside that it's doing the same thing to him.
Yes.
Yeah.
And I was just like, I ministered to him. I got his address now so I could write him, but I just prayed for him, the fire of God over him, you know, and it was just like, it touched me and it brought a fire back in me.
Yeah.
And this happened last night.
Right.
So I was just like, I know that this kid is being called. He's only 21 years old. He went in at 17. I was like, you got to let everything go. You have to put it all down. And that's what I did when I came out. I had to put everything down. I had to turn my life around. You know what I mean? And I remember going to Grace Awakening, and I was sitting in the back with my bald hair, just got fresh out of prison. And I was that ignorant guy, like in the back. And then Pastor Tommy just came from that revival in Florida. Yeah. And he was just like, I want to release the fire of God on you guys. I got filled with the fire. And I was like, man, I was just thinking in my head, like, man, this thing's fake. This is fake. You know, and I had my daughter right here. And Pastor Tommy starts jumping on the pubes after he prayed for everybody. He's jumping on the pubes all the way to where I'm at. And I'm holding my daughter. He starts praying for my daughter. Her eyes start rolling back her head. And he prays for me. And man, I fell out. And I remember feeling an angel sitting on my chest. Yeah. And I was like I was just laid out on the ground. Ever since then, I was running up to the altar. Come on, pray for me, Pastor. Pray for me.
Yeah.
As to this day, you still see me at the altar. But it's because I know that's where the fire is at.
You want continual fire.
The continual fire.
Well, it takes that. You're chasing it, man.
Yeah.
Not enough people are chasing the fire.
It was my fix.
Yeah.
It was my new high.
Right.
And I can't explain it because I felt that same fire in prison. I didn't know what it was until I came to Pastor Tommy's church, and I was like, whoa, I got filled.
So going back to the prisons, how did they treat the converts to Jesus? The people that come in cold-blooded murderers and they turn their lives over to Jesus. They've been changed. They've been transformed. How are they treated in the system?
So like, if you're like, because you have in there, you're running with somebody, and if you could come in and say you're a Christian, and they'll respect it. But if you come in as a gang member and then you want to turn Christian, that's all bad right there.
Is it?
Yeah.
You can't switch over?
To me, it's dangerous.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? It depends on them, but I can't really say. But to me, it's dangerous, like, because they could look at you as weak, or you know what I mean?
Getting scared and then trying to hide behind something or whatever.
Yeah.
Crutch. Some people will call
crutch.
it. Yeah.
And I have seen guys in there that wanted to turn over to Jesus, and they end up piecing up protective custody because they're just done with that life. And they're basically called to drop out after that. But they're just done with that life. I had a guy say, like, man, these guys, I put in so much work for them, and you know, I want Jesus, you know, and I don't see them no more. I'm like, I wonder what happened to them. So I don't know if they PC'd up or what, or they got released.
You never know. Grace of God.
The grace of
He
God.
did wonders.
Was there any type of like church or anything that did you have Bible studies or anything?
So in there, they had a church, but it was more like Catholic kind of thing on the yard. But the inmates basically had their own Bible studies.
Okay.
Man, I encountered God in there and in Bible studies. It was crazy.
Yeah.
Crazy. Yeah. It was good. Like, we'll have prayer circles at the end. But like, the homies that were allowed to do that stuff, but to an extent.
Right.
Like, you can't, you know, all of a sudden run with the Christian cart. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
But I wasn't really like in a hardcore prayer, because level 4 prayer, that's hardcore. I was like a level 2. So it was more like,
but it could still pop off.
It could still pop off, and
still all dangerous.
And they could give you a bad name everywhere you go. You know what I mean? And you would have to PC up.
When you say everywhere you go within the system,
the whole prison system, everywhere they'll find you.
Yeah, they have hands.
There's no way everywhere. The inmates are checking you in and stuff. They already know your paperwork before you can get there. It's crazy. Yeah. So, but besides all that, like, you know, by the grace of God, I made it through all that. And I was only 24 years old and hitting the main yard. But but coming out, like encountering Jesus, but it wasn't an easy walk. I still backslided. I still went back to drugs. I still, I ended up divorcing my wife because, I was still dealing with lust and cheating and all that stuff. And the same was just out to kill, steal, and destroy.
Yeah.
And but he uses temptation, and I was getting pulled in by it.
Yeah.
I thought of that when you were telling about your earlier testimony. I was thinking about how many traps he kept throwing at you with people, with things, and with fun. And, yeah.
I mean, I was even serving God for 5 years and I backslided from one glass of wine, but we'll talk about that another time. But
that's a powerful testimony, man.
To be continued.
Yeah.
And I backslided, but now when I came in, I seen you.
Yeah.
I came into 7 years ago. I've been sober 7 years now.
Congratulations.
Yeah. 5 years before that, but 1 year backslid in between the both.
You've come a long way, and we're super proud of you. We love it. I have another question.
Yeah.
Because I think about my past. You think about your grandparents, right? They were the ones that were taking you to church.
Yep.
Do you ever reflect on the importance of that seed being planted as a youngster in your walk today?
To this day. It is still right here in the back of my head.
Yeah.
I remember being lost out there and just on drugs, and I would think I would get that conviction, what would my grandmother think about me? You know what I mean?
Positive influence, that stuff.
She was a positive influence. And then my mom, man, she prayed for me. You probably know. She probably came in here telling you guys about me. But she prayed for me a lot. And I believe the prayers from a parent will change the son's life or kid's life,
Yeah.
So don't stop praying for your kids out there.
Yeah. I want to say, too, I'm grateful for you being a Christian, too, because this guy's drugged me to church almost. And I benefit a lot from it. So thank you.
Yeah, I remember
By
that.
the ear? Is that how you...
Yeah. I'm going to throw you in my trunk.
I was going to throw him in my trunk.
I'm going to take you.
That's what we used to do back in the day. We used to rob drug dealers and stuff.
Rob drug
trunk.
That's crazy. I used to think I had a powerful testimony, but that's really powerful stuff, PR. So we're happy to have you. It's a fantastic testimony. I'm sure there's going to be a part 2, which will be just as powerful.
Yeah.
God has got you right where he wants you.
There's just so much. I mean, I could keep going and going, but I'll come back on here again.
Yeah.
Amen.
We'll do part 2. Yes, thank you guys for tuning in and listening to my cousin PR's testimony and Billy Joe here and I, Ronnie. We are going to do a part 2, but thank you for listening. If you guys need any prayer, my cousin PR has some videos online for that too.
Yeah, so especially after this, you could say a little 2-minute prayer. There's going to be a time on the end of this. But yeah, thank you guys for tuning in. God bless you guys, and thank you for giving me the opportunity to share. And sorry I couldn't say too much, but we'll be back next time. Thank you guys. God bless you. Subscribe, hit the notification button,
smash the notifications,
and the like button.
Yeah, that one.
God bless you guys.
God bless you.